Hi, today I'm going to take you through a tutorial about how to use your net asset calculator as one of the Primetime tools for planning. It's a really important calculator because it summarises all your wealth in effect, so all your assets. You can also use it to work out what your after-tax value of your assets are, what might be assessed for means testing purposes for welfare and benefits, and it also feeds into your budget, your master budget, because as you're spending down your funds, if you like, typically if you're spending but not earning, you might be spending down your funds, and at some point you might need to look at selling down some assets. It also categorises the assets between liquid and less liquid. And so what I'll do is I'll just take you through it. Now, where you'll find it, if you haven't used the financial calculators before, you'll find it in the tools templates. And it's the document, it's the template that's called the Primetime Integrated Financial Budget Calculators. And you download that and start using it. Now, if you've already used your financial budget calculators, because there are a number of different calculators within this spreadsheet, then it might already be either on your computer or you might have loaded up into your filing cabinet. If that's the case, then you go into there to access it. But for the moment, I've downloaded an example to show you. Now, one of the tricks is when you open one of our spreadsheets, you may get a security warning, and you need to click on Enable Content to access the spreadsheet. Okay, because it's got macros in it. Now, the actual calculator, this is the integrated financial calculator. So I've opened that up. We start that, we go through, and then the net asset calculator's here towards the bottom of the menus. So this is a completed example to make it easy for everybody to follow. Now, all the people who might own assets, so it might be a joint ownership or it might be through a trust company, needs to be within this area because it assigns an ownership to an asset, and it might not be a person, but it might be something else, a company, or it might be joint ownership. So that's important, might be important for tax planning, estate planning purposes. So what we'll do is we'll go into that net asset calculator. Looks fairly busy, but it's not as difficult as it might seem. Now this has been completed. You start off with your residence, put your residence in, who it's owned by. You can see there's a drop down from the front there. Okay, so who owns that residence? The year of purchase, what your current estimated value is, and what your tax cost base might be. So your profit might be before tax if there's tax. Now, in this instance, in Australia, a personal residence has a special tax status, and I'm saying that there's no tax payable on this. So that's the after-tax value here, which is effectively your estimated value. Goes all the way through the tax values. There's no means test I've said there's no means test impact, so there's no means test value. Okay, so then we go through, a property might be owned by a trustee through a trustee company. There might be a tax cost base. There might be a profit after tax of that. We've classified that as a taxable income, or we might say that's a capital gains. Yep. Now we need to do a manual calculation of what the tax estimate may be. Might be an accountant that needs to do that, or you might be able to do it if you've got enough knowledge over your tax affairs. So the after-tax value then would be the current estimated value less the tax payable. Okay. Is this means tested? If it is, it will then it'll then take the estimated value into your means testing. Means testing in Australia doesn't normally look at, it doesn't normally assess after tax values. It does before tax values. So then you've got shares in publicly listed companies, other investments and values, So you just go through that process of putting all your assets in there. Then I've got what's called liquid assets. So your liquid assets will be cash, pension funds, etc. So anything that you can convert to cash fairly easily. Okay, so that then works out your current estimated value before taxes. Your liabilities are from another sheet. You don't need to input anything there, but you need to do a liabilities schedule. Okay, now here's the after-tax value. Okay, total liquid assets, liabilities and debts, and the total assets. And there's your means test, possible means test value, which you'll need to get. You'll need to go through that with an advisor if you want to have a very accurate understanding of your means testing. So how that works is that actually feeds into your your master budget. So I'll just take an example here. The after-tax value of your liquid assets is $635,000. If we go into our net living cost calculator, this is our master budget. You can see here that the opening balance of liquid funds available is $635,000 because it's come from that net asset calculator sheet. It also calculates other assets and then total assets, less contingencies, assets after contingencies. So it's a fairly detailed master sheet, and you do all the work in all these other sheets here which populate that master budget. So that is your net asset calculator. It feeds, the net asset calculator also feeds into your net asset, your asset planning distribution sheet, and that'll be subject of another tutorial. That's enough for today. Thanks and happy retirement.